video, we were going to tackle about risk management. But first, let's define risk. So what is risk? Risk means it is the chance, high or low, that somebody could harm by this and other hazards, together with an indication of how serious harm could be. Second, let's discuss the differences between peril and hazard in risk. A risk is simply the chance or physical loss, and peril is a cause of loss. Hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effect on people. Third, list and explain the types of hazards by giving examples. So, the hazards are physical hazards, moral hazards, and moral hazards. So, the first type of hazard is physical hazard. Physical hazards mean an agent, factor, or circumstances that can cause harm without contact. It includes ergonomic hazards, radiation, heat and cold stress, vibration hazards, and noise hazards. The second type of hazard is moral hazard. Moral hazard is dishonesty or character defects in an individual that increases the frequency or severity of loss. It is related with the human aspects which may influence the outcome. This usually refers to the attitude of the insured person. It includes number 1, comprehensive insurance policies decrease the incentive to take care of your possessions. Second, governments promising to bail out loss-making banks can encourage banks to take greater risks. The third type of hazard is moral hazard. Moral hazard is an insurance term used to describe an insured person's attitude about their belongings. It represents the rise of indifference to loss because the items are covered. For example, suppose a person pays insurances for their new phone, or best example is the warranty of your cell phone. So, after we define the risk, let us now move on to the fourth one, the classifications of risk. So, the different classifications of risk are objective and subjective risk, pure and speculative risk, static and dynamic risk, financial and non-financial risk, and lastly, the fundamental and particular risk. So, objective risk means measurable, while the subjective risk is based on a person's mental condition. Pure risk is one in which the only options are to lose or not to lose. Speculative risk is one that can result in either profit or loss. Dynamic risk result from the changes in the economy. Example, changes in price levels, consumer taste, and income and output. Benefit society in the long run by adjusting misallocation of resources. Static risk would exist even in the absence of economic change, from perils of nature or human dishonesty, not a source of gain to society. Financial risk originate from financial markets and might arise from changes in share prices or interest rates. Non-financial risks emanate from outside the financial market environment and could be consequences of environmental or regulatory changes or an issue with the customers or suppliers. Inflation, earthquake, flood, conflict, or recession are examples of basic risks that affect the entire economy or huge number of people or groups within is called the fundamental risk. A specific danger is one that impacts a single person rather than a whole community or country is called a particular risk. Personal risk, property risk, and liability risk are all pure hazards that might jeopardize an individual's financial stability. The fifth question is liability risks are of great importance for several reasons. Mention those reasons and elaborate them. So, in liability risk, it is very important for several reasons. And these reasons are, first, there is no maximum upper limit with respect to the amount of the loss. You can be sued for any amount. So it means you will be sued for any amount of liability because it's limitless. As long as you cannot pay or you don't have a liability insurance to pay it. In short, you can be sued for any amount of liability. So second reason, although the experience is painful, you can afford to lose your present financial assets, but you can never afford to lose your future income assets. It means you will sacrifice your present financial asset as compensation to your liability because you can't afford to lose the company since it is still operating and it might save you until the end. So, compared to the present financial asset, company is much bigger. So finally, the third reason, legal defense cost can be enormous. If you are sued and have no liability insurance, the cost of hiring an attorney to defend you and represent you in a court of law can be staggering. So this time, it will be a big loss if you are sued to your liabilities because hiring an attorney to defend you is very expensive, especially if you don't have a liability insurance to back up you along the way. Then it would lead you to trouble. So we should be extra careful in doing this matter. That's all for today. I hope you learned something from my discussion. And by the way, my name is Channel E. Pilostratos, ending with Ooh, Perenapeg. Bye-bye!